this is a time to sell, I think. To
I agree. I agree. Um, Snell's pitched great the last 3, 4 times out, especially the last time out. With him having a chance to opt out, you almost with Scott representing them, you've almost got to believe that he's a free agent. You got to look at him
right,
as a free agent, and he can help a lot of clubs. Been to the World
yeah,
Series, won a couple sides, so he should be the premier starting pitcher if you decide to move. There's very few pitchers that are going to be available, that might be available, that are of his quality. And I think you've got to look beyond this season. As you say, there's a lot of teams to climb over. To have all those teams lose the day you win over and over and over again, it's tough to do. And those teams
right.
they've got a little bit better record through over 100 games. So it's kind of you hate to do it. I hated doing it. I think I did it twice, as I said, in 25 years. But you have to look more at the future than you do October.
And let's give a shout out to Jeff Taylor, who's a new member of NorCal Sports Network. Thanks, Jeff. Welcome as a member. Appreciate that. And yeah, so what I want to ask you, and a lot of people have been talking about when we get you on, what's it like this time of year with trades? Are you calling somebody, hounding them, or are you just calling once and then you have a chat? Maybe you've chatted in the winter meetings and now you're getting closer to the deadline and you bring that back up, or how is it? I mean, is it constant calling, or you just is there back and forth? Hey, come on, you said you were going to do this and now you're pulling back. Is there any of that kind of
Well,
stuff?
you don't those that and that part of the comment never happens. You said you were going to do it. I mean, you're either doing it or you're not.
Right.
Um, a lot of it is groundwork that has been laid, either like you say, winter meetings all the way up until the end of July, or in the last few weeks. When you get to the All-Star break, when you come out of that break, typically people start checking in a little bit more. But it's your responsibility, I feel, to know where everybody's at throughout the course of the season, and place calls. And like any other business, you're going to get along better with some than others. You're going to understand everybody, though. You're going to understand how they think. You're going to understand where they're at in their clubs, and also in their future, how their ownership looks at things. All those different things you have to gain information little by little by little, leading up to this period of time. And I think at this point in time, you're going to know who will and who won't for the most part. The teams that are going to sell off, those teams that have quality players that are going to sell off, they're going to hold the stakes really high, even to this point in time. A day at this time of July is like a week any other time. A
Mm.
lot of things can happen in the course of one day, but until you get to the trading deadline day, that is when everybody's going to show their cards, probably with an hour or two to go. Although there's been a lot of big moves, I think, already made by teams. I think those that are holding out hope that they're going to be able to get one more player, one more prospect, a better prospect. You may not know that until you get right to the end. The last hour and a half, it is nonstop. I had 2 cell phones going and a landline going. And my inner circle in LA, Sabes had his inner circle in San Fran when I was there. And you're in a constant Q&A. You're calling your scouts that are not in the city that you're in. You're calling them to make sure that that how they feel about a player. I don't want anybody vacillating. I had one scout. I was talking to him about a pitcher, and I called him like 4 times in a 24-hour period about a certain pitcher. And he says, "Hey, boss, I don't know, I don't want to really come off as thinking that you're forgetful, but you've called me 4 times in the last day, And I says, yeah, I know how many times I've called you. You know, every time I call you, you give me a slightly different answer. You know, I need you to be definitive. As a scout, I need you to be definitive. Not go, well, maybe or maybe not, or, you know, whoa. You know, this ain't the time of year to maybe or maybe not. This is yay or nay. Tell me what you see. Can this player pitch in the month of October? Can they help us win in the month of October? You know, some players are going to help you get to October. Other ones are going to help you get there and also be contributors there. So this last period of time, it's going to go a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker. But the last day, in the last couple hours, that's when anybody that's been bluffing, holding out, they will come and play their cards at that point in time. Until
Interesting.
then, you just got to stay in touch, stay with it. You know, you can go on the trade rumor site and read all these things about, well, this is, they're talking. Look, whenever you see anybody that says, they've had conversations about so and so, you read that all the time,
Right.
right? Oh, they've talked about so and so. What does that mean? Hey, Danny, would you trade player X? No, you don't have enough prospects. I'm hanging on to. Well, we talked. That doesn't mean that you would do anything. It just means we
Right.
talked.
Right.
So, we got to pay attention to the English language. We got to pay attention to what people say. Well, they've talked. Well, sure, they've talked. It's, what does that mean? Have they offered? As the other team said definitively, they will move the player. That you don't typically read. Maybe 5% of the time you'll read something that definitive. The rest of the time, it's all, well,
How how is guys like Jeff Passan and Nightingale, how they getting the information? Who's putting that out when they hear like, oh, they've talked? Like I heard yesterday, before Chisholm was traded to the Yankees, Marlins and Yankees are in talks. And an hour or 2 hours later, boom, there it is, deal done.
Well, you mentioned, two writers, and there's a handful of them that are just wired in. And there's some that have a network of people, sometimes not the GM, sometimes somebody a little bit down in the ranks that is privy to conversations. And I've seen this happen too. And I'm not naming names or anything like that. But sometimes somebody down the list, to feather their own nest, as they say, will give out some information to help them maybe get a GM job down the road. Some of that happens. That's why our inner circles, my Giant days and my LA days, we were a very tight knit group. Part of the rule was you want to be in the room, nothing gets out of this room. And so sometimes, though, things do get out. And there were times, and I admit to doing this, there were a few writers, not really a few, a couple, that I really, really had great relationships with, and I trusted implicitly. And so when they called me on something, I would never tell anybody a lie or fib, so to speak. I sometimes say, look, I can't get into that. You're going to have to, do more homework or get a little bit deeper from somebody else. Not going to be me. But there were a couple writers that I trusted implicitly. In fact, I just talked to one of them the other day. We always talked at this time of the year. I mean, we talked all year long, but we really talked a lot, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day during this time of the year. And I would tell them, I'd say, look, you want information? I'll give you some information. I'm not going to give you information on my club, but I'll give you some information on somebody else. But I need you to find out, we're hunting this player or these 2 or 3 players. We're hunting these guys. So I need you to find out who's in on them, what the chances are that they're going to make a move, what the chances are that of who the prospect or the players are that are going to be involved in it. And I trade off information. I think probably everybody does it, but I had some people that I could really, really trust. And, I tell them, hey, I'll get you what you need, but I need something in return. And so I'm sure that goes on this day, but You can't do that with everybody. You do it with people you've got long-standing friendships with and relationships, and people you really trust that they're not going to violate the confidence, that they're going to be honest with what they bring back, and they trust you to be honest with what you're coming forward with. So that would happen once in a while. Uh, that's how you get some.
Yeah.
But if you read, all the trade rumors and all those things, if anybody ever kept track of all of
Oh
that
gosh, yeah.
and,
I've had
and saw the percentage of what actually happened, it might be 5 or 10%.
yeah, I've had so many people email me, friends that email me these trade rumors. I told them, I don't even read them anymore because they're not, none of them come true. So I don't waste my time on them. People, we play on this show, we create trades, but they're just, what we think would be a good trade. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Now there's 30 GMs out there. When in your day, is there guys that you feel like, man, I better go after this guy because I know he's going to go after him, and I got to be maybe a little bit more aggressive?
Well, a little bit, but I don't think you can chase other teams' moves. I think if you really want a player and you know for a fact, as much as you can know for a fact that other teams are talking to them, but you really want, regardless if they're in your division or in your league or whatever, you've got to do what's best for your club, and that comes first. To make reactionary moves because somebody else made a deal or somebody else is talking to a team, so I'm going to get involved because somebody else is going to do it. You can't do that. You can't chase that. It's too hard to make deals to begin with, and I don't think you can spend any capital, whether it's prospects or finance, to just chase another team's reaction. You
Yeah.
can't. You have to know. Again, it goes back to the first thing I said. You got to be honest with where your team is at and who can help your team, who can truly help your team, whether it's for the next 2 or 3 months or whether it's for the next 2 or 3 months and another season or two. You got to be honest with yourself. If you have visions of grandeur that are impossible, you're not doing your due diligence. You're not really doing your organization any favors.
Right.
You got
Absolutely.
to go with
Well,
that. It means you can't chase either.
got a couple comments here. Cap says Ned Colletti is awesome. Yes, he is. We love having him on the show.
Thanks, Cap.